Will at House of Torque has given me another challenge to turn a Discovery 2 into an 8-speed Discovery 2 TD5. He has asked me to completely design all of the bits that you guys will need if you want to do the same. Right, we've run into a small problem, and the problem is to do with prop shafts. Now, I've just got back from the place that we go to get all the prop shafts modified, and I gave him these, and I said, right, okay, one of them needs to be about 50mm longer, and one of them needs to be about 50mm shorter. And he said, oh, well, if you're changing the angle of the prop shafts at all, with the 3-bolt arrangement that this one has on the back, then you'll have to change the flange at the end, because he said if you run these Gearboxes, anything more than 1 degree change, it'll just rip it all apart, and that's not really something that we want. So I've had to also get him to put a 4-bolt flange on the end of the props, as well as doing the length changes. Obviously, that means that we're going to have to change the flange on the diff, because that's set up for a 3-bolt rather than a 4-bolt. As it happens, when we do the M57 conversions into the D2s, we always change the back props to 4-bolt anyway, because these Gearboxes really can't take the power. What it does give me though is an opportunity to show you guys how to get the 3-bolt flanges off, because I see so many people trying to do this mod and they don't know how to get the flanges off. So let me show you.
Right, this is very easy when you know how. So the bolts that you've taken out when you've removed the 3-bolt flange, you won't need them anymore. So take one of them and weld the head to the end of that flange. Make sure you get a really good weld on that, because that's going to be a pressure point. You then take a sleeve, in this case I'm using a big socket, and slot it over the bolt and then put a nut on the end of the bolt. Again, you can use the one that you've taken off because you're not going to use it again. Then all you need to do, get a rattle gun and tighten that nut down, and it will start pulling the flange out. Then there's just a little bolt to undo, and use the same bolt with the new flange to put it back in. It is that easy.
I'm now going to start work on all the wiring that we need to do, and most of it will be based under the passenger seat, because most of what we need will be in the original automatic gearbox plug, which is down here. And because I'm a clever boy, I've written myself a list of all the wire connections that we need to make. And when I've finished making the list, I kind of thought, is that it? Because there really isn't that many things to connect up, but I'll tell you the list anyway. So we need to wire up our reverse light, so when it goes into reverse, it turns the reverse lights on. We then have 2 CAN wires to connect to the vehicle CAN bus. We have a permanent live and an ignition live to power up the CAN TCU. We then have 2 wires to sort the M&S lights on the dashboard out. And finally, there is a starter inhibit wire that tells the engine ECU that the gearbox is in park or neutral, and therefore it can start. So I guess let's just work our way through our little list, and then it'll work.
You may have noticed I haven't mentioned the brake switch, which is essential to make the gearbox shift out of park. But don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. We're going to be controlling the brake switch over CAN bus with the help of our friends from the TD5 inside. I'll talk a little bit more about that next.
Now obviously we usually use the 8 speeds behind the M57. We're all M57 boys, and we don't usually work with the TD5. So clearly the question for us is, how will the TD5 8 speed compare to the M57 8 speed? And to make the comparison as fair as possible, we need to make the TD5 as perfect as possible. And for that, we've been in touch with Jose from TD5 Inside, who has sent us one of his new products, which is this, the TD5 Flasher. And what you can do with this is read the file from your ECU, then send it to him to be modified, and then this device will then write the file back to your ECU. It means it's completely remote mapping. I'm going to read our file now and get that sent off to him, and whilst he's doing that, I'm going to make the final modifications to our shifter mount kit, and then I think we'll be just about done. Excitement has occurred because the gearbox mounts have returned from the powder coaters and they look beautiful. I have a box here full of identical ones ready to sell to you. Now I've laid everything out on the bench so that you can see exactly what will be included in the kit when you buy it. So obviously you've got your gearbox mounts, 1, 2. Included in the gearbox mounts we have 4 M12 bolts so that you can bolt that to your transfer box. From the other side, you've got some M10 by 65 bolts, accompanied by obviously M10 nuts and washers to go either side of that. The kit will also be including new rubbers, big, small, for the gearbox mounts, and they also come with your washers and your nuts to bolt them down to the chassis. So that is the complete TD5 8HP gearbox mounting kit. And to show you what it's all going to look like once it's all fitted, I'm going to fit it to this car we have on the ramp. More good news! The shifter mount items are now back from laser cutting and the powder coating. So we have the heated seat version of the top, the non-heated seat version of the top, the replacement shifter mount and the new shifter mount. Yours will look slightly different to this, but it'll look similar to that. I'm just trying to work out the height at which the shifter actually sits. I will be showing you how to fit the shifter mount, obviously, because that's part of the job. The one that we have is the non-heated seat version, and obviously these two bits are generic anyway, so they'll be fitted anyway. It does give me a chance, however, to talk about instructional videos, because the products that I've made in this, I know I whizzed through it very quickly on this video, and you don't necessarily see the intricate bits, which bolts go in which order and all this, so I will be making instructional videos on how both the shifter mount and the gearbox mounts are fitted. They'll be posted at the same time that this video goes out, so there's no crossover in people buying the products and not knowing how to fit them. For now though, be entertained by the next bit. Yes, the prop shafts are back. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about these, because if you're doing this for yourself, then I think these couple of little bits will be helpful for you. The first thing is the rear prop shaft, which is this one here. The rear prop shaft has been shortened, and when I took it to him, he said, oh, the slider in the old prop shaft is a bit knackered, so we've had to put a new slider in. So I've ended up with a brand new rear prop. And I've also ended up with a brand new front prop shaft as well. And the reason for that is, he said because of the way these are made, they're friction welded, so there's no shaft that runs through the middle to keep them all straight. So I guess if you were to lengthen it, you'd have to chop it and then put a little spacer on. And I imagine that would go wrong very quickly. So I've ended up with two brand new props, which is fine because I like new things. The cost of having these two brand new props made was £400 plus VAT, which I didn't think was that bad. Obviously, I've got a brand new rear prop because the slider was knackered. He said if the slider wasn't knackered, he'd have just modified this one. So it might be a bit less if your slider is all fine and dandy. I always take my prop shafts to a company called Northwest Prop Shafts, which is in Coppell, which is up near us. They're very good. They managed to turn these round in just over a day, and it's a reasonable cost. They also work with Twisted to do all their heavy duty prop shafts and stuff. So I've just done all the oils, all the gearbox oils and everything, put the front back together, put the centre console back together. So if we fit these, we can go out for a drive. Right then, here we go, first drive. Well, it starts, that's one thing. Goes into gear, that's another thing. And it moves! It moves!
Ah, the first gear change. Ah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Just what we expected it to be. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. That's just seamless shifting from the 8-speed. Nothing like the 4 HP from the past. I mean, obviously, look, we knew that the 8-speed was going to be a great drive behind the TD5, with it being one of the best gearboxes ever made. But now, obviously, you've got your seamless shifting, you've got your manual mode that actually works and listens to you. But also, on top of that, you've got better economy. When you get on the motorway, your revs aren't as high as they usually would be with 4 HP. And with the 8-speed going around town, you've got an awful lot less wastage in the torque converter. It really picks up and locks out a lot sooner. I mean, we're going 35 miles an hour and I'm locked out in, I think, 6th gear. And it's just pulling like a train. But as soon as we're coming to the end of the video, we do have some thank yous to do. First of all, to Syncro Gearboxes for providing us with the TD5 to 8 HP adapter. Second of all, to TD5 Inside, who we worked closely with to get the map sorted out and the brake switch working. Obviously, that's a big help for us. And finally, to House of Torque for providing all of the rest of the things that we needed to do this conversion. An additional thanks needs to go out to House of Torque for setting us the challenge in the first place, obviously, enabling us to make the products that we've made in this video. And as promised, the products that we've made in this video will be hosted on the House of Torque website. So if you want to do the same as we've done and put an 8 HP behind your TD5, head over to the House of Torque website and they'll be able to sort you out. The next video coming out on the Laurence of the Machine channel will be all to do with cooling. We've got some big trips coming up to like Portugal and all that, and we need to make sure we're nice and cool in the cab, and also the engine is at a proper temperature as well. It has actually taken me over a year to film that video. That started in the old workshop. So we'll see you next time on that video.